Welcome to my channel. Subscribe, listen, and enjoy my stories every day. I should have been one of the happiest men alive. I married the most beautiful girl at my university, Jenna. She had everything: looks, charm, and a smile that could light up any room. But as it turned out, marrying her was the biggest mistake of my life. It all started like a fairy tale. We met during a lecture on modern literature. She sat next to me, flipping through pages of The Great Gatsby with a concentrated frown. I offered a casual comment about the book, and she laughed, her eyes sparkling with interest. That was the beginning of our whirlwind romance. Jenna played the role of the perfect wife effortlessly. She was always there, cooking meals, tidying up, and greeting me with a warm smile when I returned home from work. I often worked extra hours, pushing myself to the limit to buy her gifts, to see that radiant smile light up her face. It felt worth it. Until one day, everything changed. Our neighbor, Mr. Collins, was an elderly man who loved to chat. One evening, as I was coming back from work, he stopped me. "Hey Rob," he called out, his voice wavering with age. "I saw Jenna today, out with some guy. Didn't look like anyone from around here." A chill ran down my spine. "What do you mean?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. "Just that," he replied, looking genuinely concerned. "She seemed pretty friendly with him." When I confronted Jenna that night, she didn't even flinch. "Oh, that was just Tom," she said with a dismissive wave. "An old acquaintance. He walked me home, that's all." Her explanation seemed plausible, but something about her nonchalance gnawed at me. I didn't believe it. I couldn't. So, I decided to take matters into my own hands. Without her knowing, I installed a tracking app on her phone. A couple of days later, Jenna left the house, saying she was going to meet a friend. I watched the app closely, my heart pounding. She wasn't going to meet any friend. She headed straight to a motel on the other side of town. I followed her, trying to calm the storm of emotions inside me. When I arrived at the motel, I saw something that made my blood run cold. Through the slightly open curtain, I saw her with her stepfather, Alan. They were in bed together, their bodies intertwined in a way that left no room for doubt. Shock and disbelief paralyzed me. How could she do this? How could she betray me with her own stepfather? The reality was too grotesque to comprehend. As I stood there, a plan started to form in my mind. I wouldn't confront them, not yet. I needed to be smart. I needed to get my revenge and make sure they paid for what they had done. Jenna's life was about to take a turn for the worse, and I would be the one steering. That night, I went home and sat in our living room, staring at the photos of our happy moments together. It felt like a different lifetime. The anger boiled inside me, but I kept it contained. I needed a clear head to execute my plan. Jenna came home later, acting like nothing had happened. She kissed me on the cheek and asked how my day was. I played along, pretending everything was normal. I couldn't let her suspect anything. Not yet. The next few days were a blur of careful planning. I gathered evidence, screenshots from the tracking app, photos of them together at the motel, and even recordings from a voice-activated device I had hidden in her purse. Every piece of evidence was like a dagger in my heart, but it was necessary. One evening, as we sat down for dinner, I decided to confront her with the truth. "Jenna, we need to talk," I said, my voice steady despite the turmoil inside. She looked up, a flicker of confusion crossing her face. "What's wrong, Rob?" I placed my phone on the table, the screen showing the tracking app. "I know where you've been going," I said, my voice hardening. "I know about you and Alan." Her face drained of color. For a moment, she was speechless. Then, the tears started to flow. "Rob, I can explain," she stammered. It's not what you think. Oh, it's exactly what I think, I replied, my voice cold. I saw you two together. At the motel. She broke down, sobbing uncontrollably. I'm sorry, Rob. I didn't mean for it to happen. Sorry. I echoed, my anger rising. Sorry doesn't even begin to cover it, Jenna. I stood up, pushing my chair back violently. You've destroyed everything, I said, my voice shaking with fury. But you know what? I'm not just going to let you walk away from this. I will make sure you pay for what you've done. Both of you. And with that, I walked out, leaving her in tears. The time for confrontation was over. Now, it was time for revenge. And I would stop at nothing to see it through. I leave Jenna in the kitchen, her sobs echoing in my ears. As I walk down the dimly lit street, my mind races. Anger and betrayal burn within me, but I push them down. I need clarity. I need a plan. I pull out my phone and dial the number of the only person I can trust right now. Hey, Rob. What's up? Jake's voice comes through the line, casual and friendly. I need your help, Jake, I say, trying to keep my voice steady. Can you meet me at the diner in 20 minutes? There's a pause. Sure, man. Everything okay? No, I reply, my voice cracking slightly. But it will be. Jake and I have been friends since high school. If there's anyone who can help me navigate this mess, it's him. I arrive at the diner first, finding a booth in the back. The waitress, a middle-aged woman with kind eyes, brings me a coffee. I nod my thanks and stare out the window, my mind spinning with possibilities. Jake arrives a few minutes later, sliding into the booth across from me. His easygoing demeanor shifts to concern when he sees my expression. Rob, what's going on? I take a deep breath and tell him everything. The tracking app, the motel, Jenna and Alan. His eyes widen with each revelation, and by the time I'm finished, he's shaking his head in disbelief. That's insane, he says, leaning back in his seat. What are you gonna do? I need your help to get back at them, I say, my voice firm. I want to ruin them both. Jake nods slowly. Okay. But we need to be smart about this. No rash decisions. We spend the next few hours planning. Jake suggests we gather more evidence, not just for personal satisfaction but to ensure they can't worm their way out of any consequences. We talk about ways to expose them, to make sure their lives are as destroyed as mine feels. The next day, I take the first step. I call Alan's wife, Carol. She's always been kind to me, and I hate to hurt her, but she deserves to know the truth. The phone rings a few times before she answers. Hello, Rob. How are you? Her voice is cheerful, unsuspecting. Hi, Carol, I say, my heart heavy. I need to talk to you about something. It's important. We agree to meet at a nearby park. When I arrive, Carol is already there, sitting on a bench and watching the ducks in the pond. I sit beside her, and she turns to me with a smile. It fades quickly when she sees the look on my face. Rob, what's wrong? I take a deep breath. Carol, I found out something about Alan. Something you need to know. Her brow furrows in concern. What is it? I hesitate, then pull out my phone, showing her the photos and recordings I've gathered. Her face pales, and she covers her mouth with her hand, tears welling in her eyes. Oh my God, she whispers. I can't believe this. I'm so sorry, Carol, I say, my voice breaking. I didn't want to hurt you, but you needed to know. She nods, wiping her eyes. Thank you for telling me, Rob. I don't know what to do. We'll figure it out together, I promise. We won't let them get away with this. Over the next few days, Carol and I work together, gathering more evidence and planning our next move. We decide to confront Alan and Jenna together, in a public place where they can't easily escape. We choose a coffee shop downtown, a place they won't suspect. The day of the confrontation arrives. I meet Carol outside the coffee shop, both of us tense and anxious. We walk in together, finding Alan and Jenna already seated at a table, laughing and talking as if they haven't betrayed us both. When they see us, their expressions shift from surprise to confusion, then to fear as they realize why we're there. I pull out my phone, showing them the evidence we've collected. "How could you?" I demand, my voice trembling with anger. "How could you do this to us?" Jenna starts to cry, her tears falling silently as Alan stares at the table, unable to meet our eyes. "Rob, please," Jenna begs. "It was a mistake. I never meant to hurt you." "A mistake?" Carol interjects, her voice shaking. "You've destroyed our lives." Alan finally looks up, his face pale. "I'm sorry," he says, his voice barely above a whisper. "I never wanted this to happen." "Sorry isn't enough," I say, my voice cold. "You're going to pay for this. Both of you." We leave the coffee shop, the weight of what we've done settling over us. It's not over yet, but the first step has been taken. As Carol and I walk away, I feel a sense of grim satisfaction. They won't get away with this. Not as long as I'm around. The next phase of our plan involves public exposure. Jake helps us set up anonymous social media accounts to share the evidence, ensuring it reaches as many people as possible. The posts go viral quickly, and the backlash is immediate. Jenna and Alan are shamed publicly, their reputations in tatters. But it's not enough. I need to see them suffer more. I want them to feel the same pain they've caused us. As the days go by, I become more determined, more focused. This isn't just about revenge anymore, it's about justice. And I'm just getting started. The public exposure hits Jenna and Alan like a tidal wave. Their social media accounts are flooded with hate messages and accusations. At first, I watch it all unfold with a sense of grim satisfaction, but the anger inside me only seems to grow. This is just the beginning. As I sit in my apartment, scrolling through the endless barrage of comments, a message pops up from Carol. "We need to meet. I have an idea." Intrigued, I agree to meet her at a nearby park where we can talk freely. When I arrive, Carol is already there, pacing nervously by the swings. She looks up when she sees me, determination burning in her eyes. "Rob, we need to hit them where it hurts the most." "I'm listening," I say, curious about her plan. "Alan's business," she replies. "If we can expose his affair to his business partners and clients, it could ruin him financially. And Jenna, we need to reach out to her family. Let them know what she's done. Her plan is bold, but it makes sense. We need to strike at the very foundations of their lives." "How do we start?" I ask. Carol pulls out a folder from her bag, filled with documents and photos. "I've been gathering information on Alan's business contacts. We can start by sending them anonymous emails with the evidence." I take the folder, flipping through the pages. "This could work," I say, nodding. "And for Jenna's family, I know her sister, Emily, is the closest to her. I'll talk to her." We divide the tasks and set to work. Carol handles the business side, sending emails to Alan's partners and clients. Meanwhile, I reach out to Emily, arranging to meet her at a coffee shop. When I see Emily, she looks worried, having sensed the urgency in my message. "Rob, what's going on?" she asks as we sit down. I take a deep breath and begin to explain. "Emily, I didn't want to involve you in this, but you need to know the truth about Jenna." I show her the photos and recordings, watching as her face goes from shock to disbelief. "No, this can't be true," she says, tears welling up in her eyes. "Jenna would never do something like this." "I'm sorry, Emily, but she did. And it's not just me she's hurt. It's Alan's wife, Carol, too. We need your help to confront her and make her understand the gravity of what she's done." Emily wipes her tears and nods. "I'll talk to our parents. They need to know too. This can't continue." With Emily on board, we have another ally in our fight. Over the next few days, things start to unravel quickly for Jenna and Alan. Alan's business partners are furious, several clients pull their contracts, and rumors of his infidelity spread like wildfire. He's forced to take a leave of absence, and the business starts to crumble. Jenna's family is equally devastated. Her parents confront her, and Emily tells me later that it was one of the hardest conversations they've ever had. Jenna breaks down, unable to cope with the pressure and guilt. But it's not enough. "I want to see them both completely destroyed." I call Jake and Carol for a meeting at my apartment. "We need to escalate things," I say as we sit around the kitchen table. Jake raises an eyebrow. "What do you have in mind?" "I want to expose them to the media," I reply. "We have all the evidence we need. If we can get a local news outlet to run the story, it'll be the final nail in their coffin." Carol looks hesitant. "Rob, are you sure? This could have serious repercussions for all of us." "I don't care," I say, my voice firm. "They need to pay for what they've done. Are you with me?" After a moment, Jake and Carol nod. We spend the next few days compiling all the evidence into a comprehensive package, and Jake uses his connections to contact a local journalist, Laura, who has a reputation for exposing scandals. Laura agrees to meet us at a small cafe. When we arrive, she greets us with a professional demeanor, her curiosity evident. "So, what's this big story you have for me?" she asks. I lay out the evidence on the table, walking her through everything that's happened. As she listens, her eyes widen, and she takes copious notes. "This is explosive," she says when we're finished. "I'll need to verify everything, but if it checks out, I'll run the story." "Thank you," I say, relief washing over me. "We just want justice." Over the next few days, Laura works tirelessly, contacting sources and verifying the information. Finally, she calls me with the news. "Rob, the story goes live tomorrow. Be prepared for a lot of fallout." The next morning, the story breaks. It's all over the local news, and the headlines are brutal. "Local businessman and stepdaughter caught in scandalous affair." The article goes into detail about Alan and Jenna's betrayal, including quotes from anonymous sources and excerpts from the evidence we provided. The reaction is immediate. Alan's business is hit hard, and he's forced to resign. Jenna becomes a social pariah, unable to show her face in public without facing scorn and judgment. Their lives are in ruins, just as I wanted. But as I sit alone in my apartment, watching the fallout unfold, a strange emptiness settles over me. I've achieved my goal, but the satisfaction I expected isn't there. Instead, I feel a gnawing sense of loss and regret. Jake calls me, his voice cautious. "Hey, Rob. How are you holding up?" "I don't know," I admit. "I thought this would make me feel better, but it hasn't." "Revenge is a double-edged sword," he says softly. "It's natural to feel conflicted." As I hang up, I realize that Jake is right. The path I've chosen has led to destruction, but it's also taken a toll on me. I need to find a way to move forward, to rebuild my life from the ashes of what once was. And that journey, I know, is only just beginning. Weeks pass, and the dust begins to settle. Alan has vanished from public view, and Jenna stays holed up in her parents' house, her once vibrant social life in shambles. The fallout is complete, but the satisfaction I sought still eludes me. The emptiness gnaws at my soul, and I struggle to find peace. One evening, as I sit in my apartment reflecting on everything, there's a knock at the door. It's Carol. She looks tired, but determined. "Rob, we need to talk," she says, stepping inside. "What's going on?" I ask, gesturing for her to sit. She sits down, her expression serious. "There's something you need to know. Something I've been keeping from you." My heart skips a beat. "What is it?" Carol takes a deep breath. "It's about Alan. I found out something about him that changes everything." Before she can continue, my phone rings. It's Jake. "Rob, you need to get to the hospital. Now." "Why? What happened?" "It's Jenna," he says, his voice urgent. "She's been attacked. It looks bad." My blood runs cold. Without a word, I grab my keys and rush out, Carol following close behind. The drive to the hospital feels like an eternity, and my mind races with possibilities. Who could have done this? And why? When we arrive, we find Jake in the waiting room, looking grim. "She's in surgery," he says. "The doctors are doing everything they can." "What happened?" I demand, my voice shaking. "Someone broke into her parents' house and attacked her," he explains. "They left a note." He hands me a crumpled piece of paper. It reads, "This is for betraying your family." My mind reels. Betraying her family. What does that even mean? Before I can process it, a doctor emerges from the surgery room, his expression grave. "Are you here for Jenna?" "Yes," I say, stepping forward. "How is she?" "She's stable for now," the doctor says. "But it's touch and go. She suffered severe injuries." A wave of guilt washes over me. Despite everything, I never wanted this. I look at Carol, who seems equally shaken. "We need to find out who did this," I say. "And why?" Jake nods. "I'll start by talking to her parents. Maybe they saw something." As Jake heads off, Carol pulls me aside. "Rob, there's something you need to know about Alan. I found out he's been involved in some shady business deals. I think this attack on Jenna might be related." My heart sinks. "You think someone was trying to get to Alan through Jenna?" "Yes," Carol says. "And I have a feeling it goes deeper than we realized." Over the next few days, we dig into Alan's business dealings. We discover that he was involved in a series of illegal transactions, and he had made some powerful enemies. It becomes clear that Jenna was attacked as a way to send a message to Alan. But as we delve deeper, another shocking revelation comes to light. Alan's business partner, a man named Victor, had discovered the affair and saw it as an opportunity. He orchestrated the attack on Jenna to leverage Alan, to force him into a deal that would ruin him financially and give Victor control over their business. We confront Victor, who denies everything at first, but when presented with the evidence, he crumbles. "Fine," he sneers. "I did it. Alan deserved it. He betrayed me, and he needed to be punished." I feel a surge of anger. "You nearly killed Jenna to get back at Alan." Victor shrugs. "Collateral damage. She was in the wrong place at the wrong time. I want to lash out, to make him pay for what he's done, but I know that won't help Jenna. Instead, we hand over all the evidence to the police, ensuring that Victor is arrested and brought to justice." With Victor behind bars, Alan finally emerges from hiding. He comes to the hospital, looking broken and defeated. "I never wanted any of this," he says, his voice hoarse. "I made mistakes, and Jenna paid the price." "You need to make things right," I say, my voice firm. "Not just for Jenna, but for everyone you've hurt." Alan nods, tears streaming down his face. I will. I promise. As Jenna slowly recovers, I realize that my quest for revenge has taken me down a dark path. I thought destroying Jenna and Alan would bring me peace, but it only brought more pain. Now, as I stand by Jenna's hospital bed, watching her fight to heal, I understand that true justice isn't about revenge. It's about making things right. In the end, Jenna and I find a way to move forward. It's not easy, and the scars of betrayal and violence will always remain. But we learn to forgive, to rebuild, and to find strength in each other. The journey is long, and the road is hard, but we face it together, determined to create a better future. And as I walk out of the hospital, the sun setting in the distance, I feel a sense of closure. The past is behind us, and the future, uncertain as it may be, is a new beginning.